The Carolina Panthers are an interesting situation. I was about to mash those words together. But, guys, I want to hear your thoughts down below. I feel like this is Matt Rhule's last year. If anything, he's on the hot seat. He's got to show progress, and that's the big thing. I'm not saying this team is going to be champions. I'm not going to say this team is rebuilding. I think this team needs to show progress and be either... I think you can keep the job if they're above 500 and they just barely miss the playoffs, but hopefully they can make the playoffs. I think they need to make a playoffs for him to keep his job. The defense is fantastic. I want to hear your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of the Carolina Panthers, and who's going to be the starting quarterback, Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield? Let me hear those thoughts down below. Like and subscribe. So the Carolina Panthers, it's between Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. We'll talk about that. And obviously, a lot hinges on, please, Christian McCaffrey, be healthy. My girlfriend went to Valor High School. She went to high school with Luke and Dylan McCaffrey. So, it's funny that Christian is the only one who's had success out of... I know Max had some success, but allegedly he did steroids, and that's why he's out of the NFL. But DJ Moore, in my opinion, out of Maryland, one of the most underrated receivers in the league. He's basically had 3,000-yard seasons back-to-back, okay? And Andre Roberts, great return man. I really like Terrence Marshall Jr. out of LSU, underrated guy they got. Also, Charleston Rambo, he could be someone fun to watch. And obviously, Robbie Anderson, the deep threat. And then I think people are overlooking the tight end room. This is a team that, Ian Thomas is somebody I've always liked, but Ryan Izzo is another guy. Keep your eye out. Tommy Tremble. And I think it all comes down. I think the line's good. I'm going to butcher this, but is it Ekwanu? He was the, first round pick they drafted. And they also brought in Pat Elflein from, Minnesota a while back. And look, this is a team that the offensive line, Bradley Bozeman, Austin Corbett, okay? Taylor Moton and Cade Mays. I think the offensive line is good. Let's just talk about the team, and let's talk about this team started 3-0 last year. Then, after being 5-5, they fell to 5-12. Now, Matt Rhule, I like him. And I think it's something interesting about him is, Matt Rhule allowed his players to kick soccer balls at him, which was interesting, okay? And I think they fired Joe Bradley in the midst of last season, brought in Ben McAdoo. And you have to understand, when Ben McAdoo was with the Giants in 2014, 2015, his offense was ranked 10th and 8th in yards and 13th and 6th in points. So he's bringing in a new system for the quarterbacks to learn, and he'll be the third voice in 2 seasons if you count Joe Brady and Jeff Nixon. Now, did I say Joe Bradley? I meant Joe Brady if I said Joe Bradley. But Joe Brady... Yeah, I always wonder whose fault. He was heralded coming out of LSU, and I wonder, was it Matt Rhule's fault or was it Joe Brady's offense that didn't work? And now Joe Brady's with the Buffalo Bills as their quarterback coach. But I think for Rhule's long-term job security, the offense has to be decent, and the quarterback, they have to find it. And if I'm gonna be honest, as much as I like Baker Mayfield, I kind of want Sam Darnold to win this, okay? Sam Darnold will be Ben McAdoo will be Sam Darnold's 5th offensive coordinator in his career, if you count Nixon, Brady, Dowell Loggins, and Jeremy Bates. And it's hard to be truly successful when you have that many coordinators. And last season, after being traded, he posted his worst passing rating of his career, 71.9, 29th in the NFL. And Darnold lost several games to a scapula injury, which is a shoulder, and he was he had 13 interceptions, and he leads the NFL in interceptions over the past 4 seasons, or second in the league in, past 4 seasons with 52 picks. But, this is a team that's had Teddy Bridgewater, Cam Newton, PJ Walker, and, Sam Darnold all play quarterback, it seems like, since 2020. And they brought in Matt Corral, who I don't expect to play, and, obviously they brought in Baker Mayfield, and Rhule said Darnold would be the starter today, at some point in this regular, in the offseason. He said if the season were to start today, Sam Darnold was the starter. And at this point, when we search up the Sam Darnold, supposedly they're still neck and neck in the fight between Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. But as you know, they continue to split reps in practice. They're both throwing picks in practice, and they're both pushing it out on each other. And I haven't heard that if anybody's taken, you know, the front, but supposedly after this next game, we'll know who's the starter. But whoever is the starter, Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield, it all comes down to Christian McCaffrey. From 2017 to 2019, his first 3 seasons, Christian McCaffrey didn't miss a game. He led the NFL with 5,443 yards of scrimmage in that span. Though, he's missed 23 games over the past 2 years. And the Panthers are 4-3 last season with him and 1-9 without him. So, obviously, if they want success, Christian McCaffrey needs to play at least 15 games this year. It all comes down to Christian McCaffrey. But they did the right thing. They went out and got D'Onta Foreman. D'Onta Foreman is a guy that, you know, he knows he has a role on this team. He's going to be a guy who also could play, you know, the change of pace guy. And he's a guy that last year with the Titans, he came out at 563 yards, 3 touchdowns, and really proved that he could be a guy. And he was, you know, highly recruited coming into college. So he's a guy, $2 million. Foreman will be able to hopefully hold it down. Now, they brought in, you know, not brought in, but the guy that they need to really, you know, Hassan Reddick left. Okay, they brought in Reddick last year and he left. Now, Brian Burns in the past 3 seasons had 25.5 sacks in the past 3 years. Gross Mateos has to break out. I mean, he's compiled just 6 sacks and 21 hurries in the past 2 seasons. We need those, like, we need 6 sacks at least this year. Gross Mateos needs to really, Yetur Gross Mateos. Look, I was raised by foreign parents. My dad, speaks, 4 or 5 languages. My mom speaks 3. Okay, I was taught by people whose, second and third languages weren't English. Okay, so and a lot of times they taught me stuff while pronouncing, how to pronounce stuff in English, but reading it as if it's either in Spanish or Italian. So, my apology. I know a bunch of people are going to say you suck at names. But to open up the season, they're playing the Cleveland Browns. So regardless, if it's Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, obviously the game will be more interesting if Baker Mayfield's starting quarterback. But if Sam Darnold's starting quarterback, still interesting. Week 1, we'll see how they look. Then they play the 49ers in Week 5 and Falcons in Week 8. And then the Bengals at Week 9 and then Atlanta again in Week 10. So from Week 8 to Week 10, that's where we'll really truly know what type of team the Panthers are if they're going to be a playoff team. Now, this defense was awesome, okay? They ranked second in total defense in 2021. They allowed just over 300 yards per game, which is freaking fantastic, but they sucked at the red zone. Opponents were able to score 67.3% of the time in the red zone, which was 29th in the NFL, leading to Carolina giving up 23.8 points per game, 21st. So their total defense was good, but not really second overall ranking as it suggested. Now, the Panthers' offense was very generous. They had 29 turnovers, second most in the NFL, which kind of let the defense have shorter fields, which was beneficial for opposing offenses. So, look, the Panthers were 5-0 in games where they allowed 15 points or fewer. The unit was under a lot of pressure to be perfect, given the team's record when allowing 15 points or more. And when they allowed teams to score more than 15 points, they were 0-12. The Panthers were literally winless in games where they allowed more than 15 points. But like I said in the beginning of the video, the offense is what? I don't have a worry about the defense. The defense is fine. Continue what you built on last year. DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, and whoever the hell is going to be the goddamn quarterback for this team needs to get the most out of it. Okay? Moore signed a 3-year, $61.9 million extension. And look, I know Christian Kirk he's actually getting paid way less than Christian Kirk and Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, and Stephon Diggs and Travis Kelce, which those 4 players I just mentioned are the only 4 players in the entire NFL who's had more receiving yards than DJ Moore since 2019. He's one of 3 players with 1,100 yards in each of the last 3 seasons, joining only Travis Kelce and Stephon Diggs. So he's a top 10 wide receiver that doesn't get freaking talked about at all. And hopefully he gets competent quarterback play this year. Now, Robbie Anderson. He supposedly pointed, ain't gonna lie, thinking about retiring, and shared his opposition to the idea of them trading for Mayfield. The veteran receiver recently told reporters during mandatory minicamp that he was just thinking out loud. If Anderson has a preference for Darnold, that isn't crazy to think about, because 14 of Anderson's career 28 touchdowns have came from Darnold, his former teammates on the Jet. And also, Anderson had a career low 519 yards last season, even though he led the team with 5 touchdowns. But still, look, this team needs to be healthy. McCaffrey, Darnold aren't the only guys who was hurt last year. Dante Jackson was hurt. Zane Gonzalez, their kicker, missed some time. And J.C. Horn missed the final 14 games, and he was part of the reason why they were freaking fantastic to start the year. And I think if you measure playoffs as a way to measure success, then winning 6 games would clearly, clear the bar. If they win 6 games, it's fine. I think the Panthers were the only team with a top 3 total defense last year and a bottom 3 total defense. Okay? And that was the first time that happened since the Washington football team in 2020. So what they need to do is show some progress. I've said it before. Show progress. Show that you're a competent football team. And go out there and do what needs to be done and win football games, okay? So I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. Do you guys agree with this? Maybe, am I being stupid? I just want to see Christian McCaffrey. Is a guy asking for too much? Okay? I don't think so. But I hope you guys do enjoy today's video. That's basically it from me. I really don't know what else we could talk about. Hopefully, Sam Darnold gets it, and it works out. But yeah, it's weird. It's a weird situation, and hopefully, it all works out. Okay, I'm serious. Like, I'm not someone over here that's just gonna be. I truly believe that this is a team that, if they can, figured it out. Ooh. Okay. I just think it's just an interesting situation. But at this point, I'm milking this. I have an NBA channel that I post to a lot, and you guys should check it out. And yeah, so I love y'all. Have a great day. Go check out my NBA channel. I have an NBA show too, a separate channel. All the links are in the description, so go check them out. I love y'all.